Hello everyone, it's Mal and welcome back / welcome to the Doll Mom podcast. I'm very excited for today's episode because we have my dad on, everyone.
Hi everyone.
Oh my goodness, Dad, I'm so happy that you're on the Doll Mom podcast. How does it feel?
It feels great.
Anyways, we have a really fun and exciting episode today, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how we built the dollhouse, because Dad is like the construction engineer person in the family. So we're going to be getting into how we made the dollhouse because we did it together. And then we're going to be talking about bringing a doll to Disney World or to Disneyland. That is one of the most asked questions I get all the time on my Instagram and my DMs and my comments. How do you do this? We're gonna be going into it. And I thought it would be even perfect to talk about that with my dad because my dad is kind of the mastermind behind it too, and he loves Disney. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So before we get into the actual podcast episode of talking about building the doll houses, sharing that lovely, awesome experience, and taking it all to Disney, I wanted to kind of quickly talk about how supportive my dad is with my doll collecting. I am very, very thankful and blessed to have my dad in my life. I'm so thankful to have someone that is supportive about my doll collecting and supportive about how I interact and what I do in the doll community that involves my dolls, or I guess I should say in the online community that is doll themed. I am very, very thankful to have a supportive dad and to have a supportive mom as well. I have to shout out my mom because she is just as supportive as my dad is. My dad, he loves to do a lot of different things. He actually follows me on Instagram and he has his post notifications on. So anytime that I post something on my doll accounts, whether that's on my Dollies and Rainbows Instagram account or on my Doll Mom podcast account, he always gets a notification about when I post something, and he always takes time out of his day, from work, and he goes on and he likes different things, and he watches my videos and he listens to my podcast, which I'm kind of tearing up because it just means a lot to me that my dad is very supportive. Oh, here I go. Anyways, it just really means a lot to me, and same with my mom. My mom's really amazing as well. So I'm very, very thankful to have amazing and awesome parents.
So for those of you who are parents, or for one day will be parents, I think it's important for a child in the tween to teens, starting about 12, to have something to focus on outside of school and their normal friend group and their normal family. For a lot of kids, especially boys, it could be sports, can be some sort of club maybe that they're in. And for Mallory, it was dolls. And I think whatever it is, a child needs something like that to make a difference in their life, help them keep grounded, keep focused, and a little bit of escape from the day-to-day pressures.
I agree. I really agree. And, with dolls, they helped me with that, and they helped me with so much more too. And it was just a lovely avenue to have as growing up, and kind of once you're entering into the teenager aspect, you're kind of thrown with all these pressures. I remember high school pressures with finding a career and what you want to be and what school you're going to, as little as like senior or freshman year. Like so many pressures. And then growing up, I've had different experiences where I would come home crying from school. I would be bullied. And so dolls were really always there for me. And I'm very, very thankful that I did have an avenue where I could just escape whatever was stressing me out from the school day or whatever. They're always just there for me. My mom and dad support me to the end of time with my doll collecting, and they are very on board with going thrifting to look for doll stuff, or with going to the American Girl stores because they know how much I love it. But when we go to American Girl stores, my dad has this thing. It started when around the time the Kansas City store was almost going to close. It was like towards the end of it. I want to say it was in like 2019, my dad started this thing where he takes photos of me doing my thing in American Girl stores, and whether it's me and my camera filming the display for you guys for YouTube, or it's me talking to people who came to the meetup. He likes to take behind the scene photos, and sometimes I share those, and I remember when I used to share them, a lot of people really enjoyed that, and sometimes I still kind of share a photo that he took. I remember I shared one that he took for when we went to the pop-up shop in American Girl Los Angeles, and so it's very, very fun to share those, and it's very fun to see the content that he gets, because there's some times where he will take photos and I will look on his phone and I'll be like, I didn't even realize you were taking photos of me. Like, I didn't even know that this photos existed when I'm picking out this doll, and it's like a sweet little gem, memory-wise, collecting-wise.
So really that was kind of for me and your mom, because there's all kinds of photos being taken there, but they're of dolls and of displays and stuff. There's not necessarily photos of you, except for you posing maybe at the end or something. Mm-hmm. So it's like us getting photos of you growing up.
I think this is like my favorite segment of this episode. Maybe my favorite segment of all time, because I was really looking forward, or I am looking forward to talking about how we built the dollhouse, which is like the main thing in the doll room. And it's like my favorite thing, obviously, because it's the main thing. But yeah, it just brings me so much joy. So we're going to be talking about how we built the dollhouse. Okay, so should we talk about how it came to be first? Like the whole story?
Sure, let's do that.
So I am going to say this. The dollhouse was not my idea. Like, the whole concept of it was not my idea. So I have this really close friend on American Girl Instagram, on Dolly Instagram, and she was actually my first ever doll friend. Her username is To Be a Doll, Sydney. I absolutely love her. Oh my goodness, she's so super duper sweet. Love her content. You should go check her out if you're not already following her. She used to collect American Girl dolls. She kind of still does, but she used to be more kind of into it back in the day. And so we went over to her house one time because she just built this dollhouse. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to come over and I have to see your dollhouse. We were talking about moving the dolls to what is now the doll room, because I used to have all my dolls in my bedroom, but I was running out of room because, you know, I like to get a lot of stuff from AG, and my bedroom is really much smaller than the doll room. And so we were running out of room, and just stuff was getting just too crowded, and stuff was getting broke. And so my mom was like, let's just move the dolls to the doll room. And I was like, okay. And she goes, and we could build a doll room. Like, not a doll room, a dollhouse. And so I was like, okay, well, I really like To Be a dollhouse, so let's go over there and let's look at it. So we went over there and we looked at it, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's so cute. What did you think of her cute little dollhouse? Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a great idea.
And so we were like, oh my goodness, this is so easy to build. We could do this, like, for my dollhouse. And she was like, yeah, like, you totally could. So I can't remember how quick it was after that visit we went to go get the boards. But I think it was maybe, we started it in the summer of 2016. So I think it maybe was like a few weeks after that. I know before we got any boards, we kind of went to Home Depot. We went to Lowe's to check out the boards for prices and like to look at it, but like we didn't actually purchase boards then.
Right. Well, first we were going to make it out of plywood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, plywood was really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So we ended up making the first 1 or 2 or 3 out of particle board.
Yeah, we made the first 3.
Yeah.
And we still have those around because later down the road we switched the board.
Yes.
Which is where all of the rest of them did. Which, by the way, my like kind of life goal at some point is to like get rid of those 3 and to build using that same wood that we've been using.
So a couple of things. The particle board didn't work out as well because it was weaker. It sagged more. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is we didn't paint the outside. Remember? Because we said, oh, you won't see the outside.
Yeah.
We won't paint it. But you do see the outside.
Yeah.
And so on all the others, we painted the outside.
We painted the outside white. And
then the board we went to is smooth on the outside where the particle board is not smooth.
And I feel like it's more sturdy, too.
Yeah.
Because when I put stuff on top of it, like, it kind of, like, sags more than the others, you know what I mean? Because it's just not sturdy, and it kind of makes me scared to put anything up there a little bit sometimes because it's not as sturdy. But anyways, we did the dollhouse building over time, which is a lovely tip I would recommend. We're going to get into more tips like later, but like right off the bat, build over time because, it saves you a little bit of money and like you kind of like could actually make a plan too, which we'll get into later. We'll talk about more of that later. But for a while, it was just those 3 dollhouses, those 3 little rooms stacked up. And I remember I was like changing them out all the time because I really liked how they weren't necessarily tied down to anything. We got our boards and we did... Do we want to say the dimensions? Do you remember the dimensions? I have it written down on my phone.
Yeah, so the boards are the rooms are roughly 4 by 2 by 2. Mm-hmm. And one sheet of 4 by 8 material will do one room.
Mm-hmm. With those dimensions, there is some things that is, if you're building a dollhouse for American Girl, I cannot speak about other doll brands, but I know for American Girl dolls, there are some furniture that does not work. And so we did make one of the rooms taller for that.
That's right, we did.
And that was because Caroline's parlor. I remember when we built what is now the kitchen, it used to be, my whole plan at the beginning was it was going to be Caroline's parlor. It was going to be the living room. And then I would have the kitchen where the parlor is. But the parlor wouldn't fit in. Mm-hmm. And so I was freaking out and I was like, Dad, what are we going to do? And you were like, oh, well, we'll just make the next one taller. I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, so then that is how the kitchen became where the kitchen is now, which I actually like the kitchen there instead of it being in the middle. And then I remember we did run into that the Disney room was actually supposed to be McKenna's room with McKenna's loft bed, but I couldn't fit the loft bed inside.
No, we would have to make it a lot taller.
Yeah, I did not comprehend that. I was like, oh. So that's why McKenna's loft bed's on top, and we actually have a Disney room, which I'm glad it worked out, because if it didn't, then I don't think I would ever have a Disney room, which is weird to think about, because I love Allie's room. So moving on to some different things that we did building the dollhouses, we painted them, and that was super duper fun, getting to pick out the paint colors and getting to choose, oh, I want this for this room. A really nice tip, which we'll talk about later too, is we actually use discounted paint, remember? I think they have a section at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yeah, we did a couple of things. First of all, we didn't want every room to be the same color, and we didn't want to buy, spend $30 a gallon or something for paint that we were going to use once for just one little room or something, right? Mm-hmm. So we ended up buying some white primer that we painted everything with first, okay? And then we would look for discounted returned paint, okay? Even if you buy a gallon of it, it's usually really cheap, okay? And you can find it at Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot. They all have a little section where they have returned paint. We would also, for a while, I can't remember if it was Lowe's or Home Depot, would sell you pretty cheap a little sampler bottle that was less than a pint, right? And we bought a couple of those too.
I remember, I think there was only like one paint color that we actually bought in a gallon was because I wanted Emmy's room to be a custom color. Or maybe that was the sampler thing. But remember how we went through that whole journey?
The samplers were a little small amount, barely enough to do a room.
I think that's the only time we bought a gallon was because...
We may have bought one that was discounted.
But I was just saying like full price because of Emmy's room. Remember how I wanted that to be like a Pacific shade of blue?
Yeah, I don't recall.
You don't recall that whole battle?
Maybe it ended up being a little different shade than...
You didn't.
I don't know.
Did you?
I don't really remember that. I don't remember buying a whole gallon.
Oh my goodness. Emmy's room.
We can easily go check and see. If we bought a whole gallon, we still have it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we still have it.
Okay.
Emmy's room. So Emmy is my Truly Me doll. Okay, she's like the popular girl. She's like, I hate to call her the popular girl, but she's like the trendy, like, doll, okay? Mm-hmm. And so her favorite color is light blue. And so for Emmy's room, I wanted to make it the same. I was really big into Kylie Jenner's, like, lipstick line, okay, back into 2016. It was a whole phase. We're not going to get into it. It was weird. And she came out with this blue shade of lipstick. It was like a light blue shade, and it was so pretty, okay? So I bought the lipstick. I don't even wear it. It's so funny. And so I wanted the room to be that same shade of lipstick. And remember, I took it to like Home Depot, into Lowe's and they couldn't match it. Like, it was like this whole ordeal of getting them to match the lipstick shade.
Where did we end up buying it?
I don't know. I can't remember. They matched it finally.
Oh, okay.
And then for floor, we did the stick down. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it was just stick down vinyl, fake wood flooring that we bought. Just strips.
Mm-hmm. Which looks like hardwood floor.
Yeah.
And then I think they even have that for tile if you wanted to do a laundry room and carpet.
Yeah, the tile gets a little big, because this square is usually at least, 6 by 6 squares.
I remember one time we were going to put tile down. It was for the laundry room. And I'm so glad we didn't because I don't even have a laundry room anymore. I changed it to living room. Anyways, there's a lot of different freedom that you have when building a dollhouse. I definitely recommend it, or getting something that you can paint over, or you could add your own personal touches to it. I wanted something that I wanted to personalize as well, but I also wanted something that represented my dolls a little bit too, because with the dollhouses that I've seen, they're all really great, they're all really pretty, but, I wanted to put stuff up on the walls, like Rose's room. I have 1,000 posters of One Direction, and, I don't ruin the stickers that's on the walls of a dollhouse, you know what I mean? So I just wanted that creative freedom and not ruining the risk of that I could mess it up. And, of course, could I mess up the paint with Scotch tape on paper? I don't know. I haven't seen that happen yet, but it's really fun, and I really recommend if you have the time and you have maybe the money, because I know sometimes it can be a bit expensive depending on how many rooms that you want and how tall you want it to be. Definitely look into building your own dollhouse.
One thing I wanted to do that we've never done, we've never tried, I wanted to try to work it out, was a way to change out the walls. So use poster board or something and pill and stick wallpaper or something like that to make different walls that you could just stand up and maybe attach in there with some putty or Velcro or something, so you could change a room out, right? The other thing that people have to watch out for is lighting.
Oh, yes.
So, if you pre-plan, you could give some space between your dollhouses when you stack them, and you could run some string lights in there, like Christmas lights or something, and have them come through the ceiling if you drill a hole like a regular light. We didn't do that, so we ended up where we have lights. It's battery-powered things that we Velcro to the ceiling.
And it's not even in all the doll rooms.
No.
It's just in 2, I think. Yeah, my doll room doesn't, the actual dollhouses doesn't have lights. I would like it to have lights maybe at some point, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, I kind of forgot about it. Because, I just love changing the rooms out, and I love decorating them, that I just kind of forget about the lights. Yeah,
so you could be creative and fun. I mean, if you had a backdrop that had like a window, and scenery in it that you could put up there, with poster board, then maybe you switch it out with the seasons or something.
Yeah. I just remembered we have these lights from the Target locker section of chandeliers that we stuck out in some doll rooms that's kind of considered as lighting. And then we have fairy lights in one doll room.
Yeah,
I like to get those out for Christmas, though.
And then we bought just some round LED lights that we found at the dollar store or something.
I think we might have got them at Big Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Big Lots sell those anymore because we bought them a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. They didn't work that well.
No, did I tell you? Actually, one of them's falling off the wall.
Yeah, and they don't look right.
They don't.
You would have to. We need to put some sort of band or something around them to make them look like a light fixture.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of gets the job done when there's lighting that needs to be done. And then another thing that you would like to do would be to add trim around the dollhouses.
Yeah, that's one thing we intended to do, and we haven't done yet. So I'm sure people have seen when you film that the edge facing you is a raw edge. It's not painted or trimmed out. So I'm not the best carpenter. And so not all of these are exactly the same size. So once you have them all stacked together, it's hard to run a piece of trim down all of them.
But they look nice, though. I think you did a really good job, Dad. I think we both did a good job because you got the wood, you put the nails in it to put the box together.
Yep.
You know, you helped me paint. I painted.
Mm-hmm.
I tried helping you putting the hardwood floor down, but that was kind of hard.
The hardwood floor was kind of a pain because it would come up.
Yeah.
It doesn't
still
stay
kind of
stuck
comes
that
out.
well.
Yeah. You know, we never really built a dollhouse before, but I feel like since this was like our first one and our only one at the moment, it came out looking pretty good. When I first brought a doll to Disney, it was 2018. It was spring break. We did not know what we were doing at all.
It seems like it was before then, but...
Well,
okay.
We packed dolls, but we never took them into the park or anything.
Oh, okay.
So, like, remember when we used to go on Disney cruise ships, I would bring dolls?
Yes, that's right.
But, like, I wouldn't...
We took pictures of those around the cruise ship.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we did that for Molly, I think 2016.
Yeah.
But then I never really brought a doll into the park.
Mm-hmm.
And so, until I had Allie.
Yeah.
Love Allie. Oh my gosh. Okay. I remember the time that we went, it was really, really hot. And then one day it like completely rained and it completely ruined a photo shoot. And so she stayed in like a locker. But yeah, we did not know what we were doing. But I feel like since then, we are like pros at this.
Okay.
Like we are really good. Because the photos turn out really good. And it's not that stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Disneyland, the last time we went to Disneyland, that was a little bit stressful. Because like usually we have time. But usually what we do, we take the doll to Disney, to like whatever park you're doing. Okay, this applies to all of them. You take the doll to Disney, you get up really early, and you like go and you take photos. Like really early, I mean when the park opens. Since they changed the park opening, because we've always stayed out like not on site, off site. Right. So like I know if you stayed on site, the park opens an hour early for you. You're lucky, okay? I feel like that works out better when they did that, but it still works out pretty good, okay? Because there's not that many, I mean, yes, there's people who get up, like, and wants to be there for the park opening, but, like, it works out pretty good because there's not many people in the background of your photos. Or if there is, they move, or you can cover them up with the doll, and it works out perfect. Okay, so then you go around and you take your cute little photos of your doll in the morning, and then but you also ride rides that have like a really long wait in the day. Like Peter Pan's ride, and like, do we ride something else too? Don't we ride something else that gets a lot of weight?
I don't remember, but that's the trade-off. If you're taking time doing pictures, you're not riding, right? And the best time to take pictures is also the best time to get short lines on the rides.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that going in and have everybody on board.
Yes.
Right? So either you give that up and you wait a little bit longer in lines, or if you're going enough days, maybe you have a doll day where you mainly take pictures, at least for a section of that day, right? Mm-hmm.
I remember we usually, when we go down to Walt Disney World, Orlando, Florida, we usually go down there for a week. So we pick out a day, and it's sometimes usually the day that it rains. That has happened. And then usually we leave sometimes for lunch, but sometimes it's after lunch too, in like the afternoon. We go back to the hotel, we drop the doll off, we kind of rest a little bit, and then we go back to Disney World without the doll, and we ride some of our favorite rides, and we enjoy the park.
So the first time, it seems like we tried to take all the doll pictures you wanted to take.
Yeah.
Right? And that was all that we were going to do.
Yeah.
And then we were going to tour the park ourselves later. But the problem is when you take pictures, you want to take pictures all over the park.
Yeah.
So we ended up walking around the whole park.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that was because I never done it before,
well,
though,
I know we
too.
hadn't. So we do it better now. So I think it's better if you can take the doll around with you.
Yeah.
And do some rides, and then take pictures of her in front of the ride, right? Mm-hmm. Because when we first started taking pictures, you were standing her up and posing her and stuff. And now you just hold her up.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's the sign in the background, and you don't get as many people because she's elevated.
Yeah.
Not down on the ground
and
stuff.
plus, you don't have to ruin the risk that she falls and gets something on her face.
And so
or
you're
anything.
treating her a lot like she's a regular Disney World visitor. There to ride the rides and you know, see the park.
And she does go on rides too. There's a ton of rides where you can take your doll on. Allie's favorite is The Little Mermaid. We love the air conditioning, but it's also a really doll-friendly ride. Same with the teacups, Peter Pan's. We love Winnie the Pooh. She doesn't go on any of the water rides. Well, actually, this is like a bad doll mom moment. Okay, really bad doll mom moment. Please do not do this. She was in her doll carrier, okay, but still, it does not make it better. This was the first time we rode Frozen, and I did not know Frozen was a water ride. And so I took Allie on the water ride, and there's a big drop. It's probably not that big of a drop, but there was a drop, and she's fine. Everything's fine. But it was like a really bad doll mom moment. I should have looked into that more. But I didn't think they would make Frozen a water ride.
Well, It's a Small World is a water ride.
Oh, yeah, and she goes on that too. Mm-hmm. But, like, you don't have a drop. You know, nothing can really happen to her. And It's a Small World ride like Frozen because there's a drop.
She would probably like Pirates of the Caribbean.
There's a drop in that too, though.
But it doesn't splash.
I thought it did.
No, not on you, I don't believe.
I thought I know we got wet in Frozen.
Yeah. You can.
So, anyways, bad doll mom moment. Don't do that. And then she also went on the People Mover, too. And that went... Remember how it turned that corner and it went really fast? And she kind of... And, like, doll stuff kind of went everywhere in the cart because I thought it was, like, a cute little ride, like the train. And I was like, oh, my gosh. So that was kind of a bad doll mom moment, too. But, anyways... I guess moral of the story, be prepared for the rides that you're taking your doll on and kind of think through beforehand. She also loves the Monster Inc. because it's just a sit-down ride. She loves the train. There's a lot of rides you can take your doll on. Just don't take her on any roller coasters because I never done that and I don't even want to know how that works. I don't even want to know the outcome. She would probably fall out the car. It would not be great.
So the other thing is when you first took her, you took her in the doll carrier from...
Our generation.
Yeah, okay.
And it broke.
And
Remember? So it broke in Disneyland and we had to go back to the Orlando store and get a new doll carrier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, though, we've transitioned now to we use a backpack, a regular backpack.
We do.
That the doll will fit in.
Yeah.
So how come we made that change? I don't remember why.
We made that change because... So when we had the Our Generation carrier, I could not carry it. I could only, like, carry it like a purse. Like, I couldn't, like, put it over my shoulder or anything. Like, it's a backpack. So it's, like, easier in that way, too. But I think it was just because it was easier to carry and it's easier to take on rides because the measurements is not as tall, you know, as a doll carrier.
Yeah.
And plus, like, if you think about it, too, you have to unzip the whole doll carrier.
That's true.
To get the doll out. Whereas a backpack, it's just, unzip, she's out.
Yeah, I know the backpack seemed like it made it a lot better because we stayed with that.
Yeah. So if you're planning a Disney trip, I hope we maybe inspired you to take your doll or to maybe do some Disney activities with your doll. You know, if you're worried about maybe Disney outfits, you know, Disney Lily Forever has some great outfits. They're an 18-inch doll brand, but also you can find some really cute Disney outfits off of Etsy. That's where I love to get Allie stuff. She has her Minnie Mouse dress. She has her Belle dress. I'd love to get her Cinderella. No, wait, she does have a Cinderella dress. That's what she wore last time. So, yeah, she has a pretty cute little wardrobe of her Disney outfits.
Yeah, people really reacted to the outfits, especially the cast members.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. They would come up to me and they would talk to me. I remember one time I took Rebecca and I put her in a Belle dress. And at the time, I didn't even think that she looked like Belle, you know, because she looks like Belle in the Belle dress because, you know, Belle has, like, her same hair color, same eye color, whatever. I didn't even think about that. I was just like, I'll just take the Belle dress because why not? Because I didn't really take that many photos of Allie in the Belle dress. And so I took it and, like, not even the cast members, but people would come up to me, like, these little girls was like, oh, my gosh, it's a doll-size Belle. Like, I remember at Disney World, we had, like, a whole little group following me as we took Rebecca or, you know, what they called Belle around Disneyland. It was really funny, actually. But, yeah, the cast members absolutely love Allie or, like, the taking a doll. They think it's really cute, and they actually, they're really sweet. Disney cast members are really sweet. I remember I got Allie and Rebecca a cute little first visit pens, And they were like, I remember when I got Allie's first visit pin, she was like, oh my goodness, how's it spelled? Like, how's her name spelled? I was like, oh, it's Alli. And so she wrote it on there for me. And she was like, and she made it a little cute with like the eye, little dot on the eyes, like a Mickey little thingy. So cute. Anyways, they're really, really nice.
Okay. I would just say that, the backpack makes it easier. Make sure it's big enough to hold the doll. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything else you want to stick in there.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're in the parks and you want to do something and you don't want to take the doll, especially for a long period of time, and you can't take the time to take it back to the hotel room, use the lockers.
Yes. We've used the lockers different times. I remember one day we took Allie to Epcot, and this was the first time. This was our first year. And even we kind of did it with the second time we took Allie too. But I remember for the first year we took her to Epcot and it was raining. Like there was no way we could take photos, and because it was raining all day. And so I didn't really want to carry her around the whole park, and so we rented a locker and we put her in the locker. And they actually have lockers that are big enough for you to stand her up in or for you to set her down in, and she was fine and she was safe. And so that is a lovely option too. I really like that. And I remember the second time we took her, it was her big photo shoot in Epcot. Epcot always rains when we go. It's so weird. And so she was doing her big World Traveler with the World Traveler American Girl outfits around Epcot, and it was like sprinkling, and I was like, it better not be raining. It better not be raining. I'm not renting a locker. Like, we need to get this photo shoot done because it was the only day we were going to Epcot. Anyways, long story short, it did not rain, thank the Lord. But it did rain. It did rain a little bit. But anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, definitely use the lockers. And going back to what you said with the backpack too, definitely recommend trying it before you officially pack it. Make sure she can fit in there. If you want to bring outfit changes, I don't really recommend changing your doll outfits in Disney World. I did that once, and I'm not doing that again because it was kind of crazy. But here again, she did have 8 outfits I was changing her into that day. For other things to bring with you, I know one time I bought a doll stand because it was windy. I didn't know if it was going to be windy or not. And so that's something that maybe you can think about. And then I remember bringing a tripod for my camera and stuff like that. And if you are very scared about doing that, don't be. It's okay. Like other people have done it. I've seen other people take their dolls to Disney and the photos look stunning, works out beautifully. The only thing that, if you're worried about getting questioned, because I know they do bag checks and usually my doll's in a bag, they don't really question it. You don't get kicked out or anything. They don't really hassle you about it. The only questions that I've actually got was when I took the doll stand and they were like, what's this? And I was like, oh, it's a stand for the doll. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, it was like, fine.
It's good to have a partner, too, that can go hold the doll up, and then you just take, like, a torso and headshot.
Yeah, that's what you do sometimes, too.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes it works out, too, to even have someone who's taller than you as well, because Dad's taller than me. I'm pretty short. And so it works for those high shot as well. If you have an upcoming Disney trip, I hope to see maybe some doll photos. Or maybe some doll Disney-themed activities. I think it's going to be so cute, and you're just going to have so much fun bringing your doll to Disney. It's so much fun. It's memories, and it's a blast. Alrighty, we have reached the end of this episode of the Doll Mom podcast with my dad. I'm honestly very sad for it to come to an end because I loved talking about building the dollhouse and I loved talking about bringing a doll to Disney.
Yeah, it was really fun. And you know what? If people have questions, do they have some way to leave you like a voice question or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. My voice mailbox, you can actually like record yourself like leaving a message and I can play it on the podcast, which is really, really cool. So if you have any questions, you can definitely do that. If you're someone who doesn't like to hear themselves on voice recordings or you're just very shy about that, my DMs are always opened as well.
Great. And where else can we find you on the internet?
You've listened to the outro of these podcasts, haven't you, Dad?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Doll Mom podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. It was super duper fun having my dad on. I hope you had fun, Dad.
Yes. Yes, I did.
You're always welcome back if you want to come back at some point.
Okay, I will.
Anyways, so my dad doesn't not have any social media, sadly, to plug. We usually plug people's social media at the end of this, the guest dad. But anyways, if you want to check me out, my name's Mal. I'm at Dollies and Rainbows on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and I'm really all over the place, honestly. And then make sure you're following the Doll Mom podcast on Instagram, TikTok. We're also on Twitter, but we're not. Oh, and we have a Facebook page. I love the Facebook page for Doll Mom podcast. I just started it. I mean like a few months ago. It's so cute. So make sure you go give it a like and give it a follow. All of the links to all the social media platforms on Doll Mom Podcast will be in the description of this episode. So make sure you go check us out. Give us a follow so you know when new episodes are released. And now I usually like to post new episodes every single month on the 25th. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say unless you have anything, Dad.
Nope. That's it for me.
Alrighty. Well, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.